Oh,
because
they
that's
got
when,
dramatic.
and that's when we had to say things where it's like, can you believe what I have to say or what I have to do? Like, this was so hard. So Allison remembered that she was molested, which is such a serious storyline. And then she went directly to her parents' family picnic and like confronted her dad at the family picnic. And those are the times you just want to say, this isn't how I want to handle this very important issue, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but at that point in the show, we were just moving through things so quickly. And like we said with the older man high school student thing, we didn't have the consciousness to take a minute and say, is this really how we want to address this? It was just like issue of the week, issue of the week, issue of the week.
Right.
Hmm.
That's true because it would gain momentum. And, one of my favorite things is Drunk Allison because I
Oh,
think
I
that
love Drunk Allison.
how much fun was it to play Drunk Allison?
Well, Drunk Allison is my favorite. And it's interesting. So doing the rewatch podcast, we were talking about our first day. And I've been sober a long time. I just celebrated 33 years sober.
Congratulations.
So I turned a year sober my first day on Melrose Place. Isn't that
Oh,
amazing?
wow.
So
Wow.
I mean, I felt very protected. So I got to go through all of that craziness sober. Can you imagine what would have happened if I
Wow.
was? It would have been probably worse than Allison. So when I was playing Drunk Allison, this is another interesting story. Actually, I haven't told this yet about that time and the press at that time. So I'm playing Drunk Allison. Everyone's saying, you're so good at it. I'm like, oh, really? That's crazy. Because I just wasn't as open about it then because I was younger and it felt scary. And now it's such a part of my life. I can't have a conversation without mentioning it. But um, word got out that I was sober. And at the time, that was a story. Like now, it's not even a story. Like, good for you. You stopped drinking. That's great. At the time, it was a dramatic story. And they contacted my publicist and they said, we're going to do a front page story on Courtney getting sober. And I think Drunk Allison was season 2 or 3. So I was 3 or 4 years sober. I still felt pretty new. And my publicist said, you want to do the story? And I said, I don't, because, we're careful about separating press. And I didn't feel secure enough in my sobriety to talk about it. What if I talked about it and then I went out and I didn't want anybody to think that you couldn't stay sober? Like I really felt protective of it. I said, no, I don't want to talk about it. And he went back to them and he said, again, People Magazine, we're going to run with it whether she talks to us or not. And he said, I don't know anything about it, which wasn't true. I was very open to the people close to me. He said, I don't know anything about it, but do whatever story you need to do. And they didn't run it.
Wow.
Really?
Can you
Wow.
imagine that
That is
happening today?
That would
amazing.
never
That
happen
Can
is
you
today.
imagine
amazing.
that happening
Yeah.
today? It's just like Jim Broutman. Thank you, Jim Broutman. He's my publicist. I adored him. What isn't that incredible? Like
That
today, they would
they,
gossip and hearsay. First of all, it'd be all over social
right.
media.
Right.
But,
Right.
at this point, who cares? I'm proud of my sobriety. But
Hmm.
isn't that so different? The times were
That
so
they
different.
had that
Like I'm talking
respect.
about, there was this sort of respect. There was this sort of
Hmm.
respect that he said, she's not going to talk about it. And somewhere there, someone that said, well, then let's not do it. Like
Wow.
it felt too salacious to do it if I wasn't going to talk about it.
And
Mhm.
that somebody there thought about the ramifications that could happen if they put a person in this situation. And people don't think about that. Or the people might think about that, but the people who are running with the story that just want to make the buck and run the story on another person's personal life, they don't think about the ramifications that it could have on that individual.
Yeah, and that was 30 years ago. So now
Right.
attitudes about recovery have changed so much, right? So many people are open. Jamie Lee Curtis has saved who knows how many thousands of lives, how open she is, which I really admire. So our ideas have changed. And at the time, it really felt scary and vulnerable to me.
Yeah.
And I remember him asking me, I said, I'm not ready because I just don't feel like an expert and I don't want to put that out there. And they didn't run it.
Wow.
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 Isn't
That's
that
great. That's
interesting?
great.
It's
Yeah.
almost like the 20s when they'd say, you don't post, we'll give you this story, you don't post that story, right?
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
Right.
don't post
Right.
anything.
Now
Wow.
they'd be feeding it to them, like
Yes.
feeding the stories to
But the
social media.
pressure, because I was what? So I was 25 or
Oh my
26,
goodness.
very young, and the pressure I felt, but I just knew intuitively it just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right. And I'm proud of myself for standing up, and I'm really grateful that they didn't run it because I think it just felt too vulnerable and scary for me at the time.
Right.
Well, I'm glad they respected you because
Mhm.
now it would be a very different. There are no boundaries with
Mhm.
social media. They just go after everybody.
And a lot of
For
times
good
it's
and for
not true.
bad, right? So
Right.
there are
Right.
a lot of people who have podcasts who are very open to talk about this stuff. And I think that's great. I think there's a lot more openness and people get help sooner because it's available and there's much less of a stigma. We really understand addiction much better now.
Mhm.
Um, it's hard, it's really difficult to think about that long ago and how it felt,
Right.
right? How vulnerable and scary that felt then.
Right. And you do have to just trust sometimes you just trust that feeling, that
I
intuition
think
that you have.
I always trust my
Yes.
gut.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I meditate, to sort of strengthen my intuition and my gut.
Right.
Did you start meditating at a young age, or was that something that you found in midlife?
I started young. I was always a searcher. I was always trying to find, I always wanted to feel better. I was always, I had the crystals and the this and that. I've done all of it. And I would meditate off and on, but it's in the last several years that I really, my 20 minutes in the morning are sacrosanct. And I try to do 20 minutes in the afternoon too. And, probably a lot of why I'm so happy today. Could you hear
Yeah.
this?
Oh, I just heard.
It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
cute.
So
It's
cute.
so funny.
Probably a lot of why I'm so happy because, and I think, people will say, I can't meditate. I can't meditate. And I always say, I had this new, um, I'm always trying to think of analogies to get people to meditate. Here's my new one. I'll share it with you.
Okay.
So picture, Harry Potter, Dumbledore's library in Harry Potter, right? And there's books from floors to infinity, and they're all spinning around. They're swirling around, swirling around, swirling around. And that's what happens when you don't meditate and you close your eyes and all your thoughts are spinning around, spinning around, spinning around, spinning around. That's happening all the time. You just notice it when you close your eyes. When you meditate for a long time, bit by bit, you get to put those books away. They're still there, but you get to put them away. So all of your thoughts aren't swirling around all the time. So that over time with meditation, you close your eyes and it's quiet. And you get to a place where your mind is quiet and you get to go, oh, I'm going to think about that. Or I'm going to think about that during your day so that you're not constantly battling a million thoughts, right? A lot of anxiety for people, I think, is just their brains are so active because they don't know you can train your brain. You can have a quieter brain without drugs, alcohol. Like meditation has given me, I feel today, most of the time what I was trying to get from alcohol. Alcohol calmed my brain. I just wanted to feel okay. Alcohol made me feel okay. Now, that's how I feel the vast majority of the time.
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
it is. And so many, top executives, they meditate. My husband is really, he likes to do it. He uses the Calm app and
Great.
meditates. And I'm one that needs, it's funny. I find for me, if I'm doing like yoga, that will help me focus, but I'm one of those people that needs to calm down to
Well,
get it
that's a
Right.
together.
moving meditation. I did
Yes.
yoga for a long time and I
Yeah.
don't do yoga now, but I started doing weights for my, for my
Mhm.
bones, bone health. All
Right.
right, bone health.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Yoga is the
Yeah.
same thing. You're just moving while you quiet your mind.
You're
That's
right.
the same thing. And you
Right.
realize, oh, I could do this naturally. Ram Dass, who's a great spiritual teacher, and he did part of his journey was LSD in the 60s. And that was his way to kind of find consciousness. And then he found a way to get there with meditation. He didn't need the drugs anymore. But his guru said, let me try that LSD. And he took this huge amount of LSD. And Ram Dass is watching terrified. And he said he didn't change. And he was like, all right.
Huh.
It didn't change him because he was already at such a high level of
Oh,
consciousness from years of meditation that it didn't
it
change him.
didn't do anything to him. Wow, man.
And I think a lot of people try it and their mind doesn't quite like in the first one or two times they tried and they give up because they're like, I can't do it.
It's a practice. It's like, here's my other analogy that just came to me, which is it's like you're on a hike and you're fighting through the brambles. You're fighting through the brambles. And for a while, right? For like maybe a couple months, you close your eyes and it's noise, you're fighting, and then you finally break through and you get to this beautiful quiet meadow with spaciousness. And if you believe in God, you probably have a sense of God. I do happen to believe in a higher power I call God. And I have this sense of spaciousness and love. And now that I know the way, my path, I can get there quickly. But you have to fight through the noise, and that's why it's a practice,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Doesn't happen right away. Have you tried 20 minutes a day or 10? No, I believe 5 minutes every day is better than an hour once a week. Like, can you
Oh,
start
yeah.
with just getting quiet, sit up in bed 5 minutes a day, close your eyes? Can you start there and then work your way up to 7 minutes, then 10 minutes? Now, I love my meditation.
Right.
It's my respite, but I had to fight through that noise and din, and I can't possibly sit still for 20 minutes. Now, it's my favorite part of my day.
Yeah.
And my meditation music is Georgie snoring. And I do it.
That's
Like, I'll be watching
awesome.
TV with a girlfriend, and Georgie will be snoring. She's like, "Don't you hear that?" I'm like, "I really don't. I don't hear it."
That's hilarious. That's
Background noise.
awesome. That's
And it's
awesome.
great for your health too.
It
So there's
is.
so
It
many
is. There's
benefits
so
health
much.
wise for meditation.
Health-wise, and yes, yes, yes. But the peace I feel
Mhm.
is worth everything, right? To go through my life feeling peaceful, serene, connected, that
Mhm.
I can trust my intuition, that someone asks me a question, I take a minute and I wait to hear a yes or no. Like, is that a yes or is that a no?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
It's nice.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's why we just all have so much still to learn at this stage of life. We're just constantly learning,
Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
you know.
We don't have to buy into the narrative that this is a sad time of life. We don't have to, that narrative, it's just not true. My lived experience is this is the best time of my life so far. Right?
Right.
Like, I loved when my kid was little, I loved being young, but in terms of how I feel about myself, about my body, about my life, about my friends, this is honestly the best time of my life.
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah, we agree. Or I agree.
no,
I think Colleen does
we
Georgie's
too.
snoring her agreement.
yes. I would definitely say you need to write a book. That's all I'm going to say. You
Well,
need
you've
to write a
written
book
I
one.
about it.
just
You wrote
finished a
oh,
book.
you wrote
Oh,
That's so
yeah.
funny you would say that.
Oh,
So I wrote a novel. I finished it right before my son was born, and
right. I remember. Okay.
that kind of
Yeah.
shut me down. And so part of this, like, as Jack grew up, I started taking writing classes, and I just finished a novel, which is interesting. It's sort of about what we're talking about now. It's called Perfect, and it's do we have time?
We have time.
Yeah.
We
So
don't want to.
Because we could always cut this into 2 episodes.
great,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
So my marriage broke up a few years ago, and I know we really were really good friends. We just, sometimes people grow together, sometimes people grow apart. We just, in the end, we're just very different, but we're very good friends. It's a very sweet, it's the world's happiest divorce. It's like really amazing. I'm so grateful that we both chose to be kind. Thank you, God. So lucky. But even in a peaceful divorce, it's difficult. And I was reading a lot of divorce books, and in one of the books it said, you'll find out who your friends are. And I thought, well, I know who my friends are. I have amazing friends. My ex has amazing friends. And because we had such a peaceful breakup, no one had to choose sides. But I started to think about, who would someone be who didn't have friends? Like, what would that be? And this character started coming to me, and it was someone who was really rigid and perfect and so focused on her husband and her life that she never had a life of her own. And when her marriage ended, she had no idea who she was. So it's really a love story to female friendship. And through her divorce, she ends up finding friends and finding out about herself. And women's journeys, it's also very funny, but women's journeys to find out who they are, it's really all I'm interested in. Right? I want to talk about, like I said, authenticity is the most important thing to me. I want to know, I want to have this kind of conversation all the time. I don't want to talk about the weather.
Right.
I want to talk
Yeah.
about
No
what
small
we're
talk.
really going through. No, who cares? What do I care about small talk, right? I have
Yeah.
TV for that.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
want to have these conversations. So I just finished it. So now we'll see. I'll come back on when it gets
Oh,
published.
Yes,
Well, we will
please.
have you back on when it's published.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
we would.
so exciting.
That's
It
great.
is
Yeah.
exciting. And I loved writing it. And that's one of the things that I discovered when my son got independent, right? I got to rediscover this thing that I've always loved that I didn't have to. I was never one of those people who could put my kid down for a nap and write for an hour. Like I put him down for a nap and I took a nap. There was no,
Yeah.
like I didn't have that.
Right.
Now I have time to go, what did I always want to do? And I never did. Right. And I have this time to think about my characters and write. And I just started another novel because I have time now
Oh, that's
to do this
awesome.
thing I love.
Yeah. And I think when other people, other women especially our age, hear stories like
Yes.
that, it lends to them a chance like, oh, this is something I can do. This is, with
It
somebody, yeah.
is.
It's
Yeah,
wonderful
take
to
a
hear that.
class, go on Coursera, go to your college's extension program, take a class, join a writing group if that's what you want to do. But another girlfriend of mine just went back to graduate school just because she was interested in something. Like when I went back to school, I went to University of Pennsylvania online.
Hmm.
There's so many options. If you don't know what you want to do, take a bunch of classes and see what sparks you.
Right.
Walk through the aisles of Michael's, see what looks
Hmm.
like fun.
Yeah. And
I love
it
that idea.
it
I
is
love that
it is
idea to just walk through Michael's because
yeah.
anything could be the start. And Bridget and I always say that it doesn't have to be huge. Like you
Right.
don't have to have
No.
this grandiose plan.
Hmm.
Yeah, foster a dog. Like if you love animals, foster dogs. There's such a need.
Right.
There's so much we can do that makes this part of life so like here's the thing. As you know, when you're a mom, you're so low on your list of priorities because you've committed to raising another person. That's really important and it's great and it's hard and it's wonderful, all the amazing things. Now it's almost like we're little again. We get to go, oh, what do I want to do today? Right?
Right.
Imagine when you were a little kid and it was summer before people were scheduled and we had to go to camp. Like when we were little and you got to go, oh, I can do anything I want today.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what
It
this
is.
time of life can be. I can do what do I want to do? It's really an exciting time.
It's true. It's a privilege we've earned for living
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's one of the privileges that we
Yes, if
have
we're
earned.
lucky enough to have the time to do what we want to do,
Right.
really honor that and think about what did you always want to do that you didn't have time for?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is amazing, and Colleen and I talk about too about we have, going through this time of life, if we are lucky enough to live this long, we get to go through this time of life. That this is something we get to do. It's not that we have to. We have to
Yeah,
go
we
through
get
this.
to. And like
Yeah.
people always say to me, oh, you're so lucky you have that girls' night. And I go, well, you can do it.
Yeah.
Like, do you have time now? Do a week. Like, I'm the one who hosts it. I make baked potatoes and salad, and that's it. Like, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Do it. Create a girls' night for yourself. Make dinner for your friends. Invite over a group of women every week. You have time now.
Right.
Yes,
Right?
Bridget. Bridget, I'm only 2 blocks
I
away,
know you are. I
Bridget.
will make the
Bridget,
potatoes.
throw on some potatoes. Here's what I recommend. You coat them in coat them in olive oil, kosher salt, bake them on 400 for an hour. They get this crispy,
with
salty crust.
no aluminum foil
No
over it.
aluminum because you
Right.
want it crispy, salty.
Yes. My
And if it's
niece
just the
told me
two of you,
that.
you can do it in the what's the speed thing? Air fryer.
Oh, air
But
fryer. I've
otherwise
got an
in
air
the oven
fryer.
on 400.
Oh yeah, I
Right.
do love my air
Right.
fryer.
Yeah,
We
you
have
got one? Yeah.
Yes, I do
Yay.
love my air fryer. But
Yeah.
we have 4 or 5 friends of ours that we kind of do the same
We
thing. We
do. We
don't see
get
each other
I
every
together.
love
week.
that.
Yeah,
Hmm?
we one of them's one of my sisters, and then
Nice.
Colleen and 2 other friends, and our husbands get along great, and sometimes they go off and have a bourbon night, and we go off and have a night just to talk and have some
Food.
wine,
Usually it's a
or
coffee shop.
it's usually coffee or a coffee shop. Yeah, we might just meet at a coffee shop or sit at somebody's table or something like that, which we had said when we started the podcast, we wanted people to feel like they're sitting there having a cup of coffee with their friends at our kitchen table. And,
Just
Love
chatting
that.
away.
yeah. And that's kind of what
And that's certainly not something we would have ever thought to do. Bridget and I did not come from a background of let's do a podcast.
oh,
It just-
we didn't know what it was. Like I
Yeah.
was an elementary school teacher. She was a lawyer and a Pilates instructor. So,
It was
it's,
crazy.
we actually came up with it sitting together at lunch with those friends. and one of them had a very different podcast. And Colleen and I were just talking about this time of life and not getting answers we wanted from physicians and about what's happening to us. And I mean, we're like, oh, okay, well, we'll just do it. That was 5 years ago, about 5 years ago now.
Oh, yeah.
And
You
we,
just we
we
figured
didn't
we'd
know
try
what we were
it if
doing.
it would work.
Yeah,
It was, and we had no idea. It
we
was
had
like
no
right
idea.
before the menopause midlife women conversation took off. It was like right before the pandemic.
Oh,
And it's
Yeah.
been an absolute joy. We have had so much fun and
We've
getting
met
to meet
amazing people.
amazing
Yeah,
women like you. It's just such a joy for us.
and
We're
isn't
so
that great? And you're a part of that conversation, changing the paradigm.
right.
'Cause I
Right.
know all of my friends are happier now than they've ever been. So it's like, where are these people who are so
oh,
who are so sad?
I
Like,
know.
and it's almost like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you go, oh, it's going to be sad, then you're going
Yeah,
to be sad. But if you say, what an exciting time, then all of a sudden we live in a time when everything's at our fingertips.
right.
If you want to learn how to do something, look at a YouTube video.
That's what
it's
we
true.
did. Yes.
It's true though. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
perspective. It's a lot of perspective and a lot of times women think they have to either be really sad that that part of life is over, but they can't be happy at the same time. Like you can have two emotions. You can have like that melancholy of, oh, this stage of my life is done, but also have excitement for, but I'm now into this stage of life. Like they're not
Yes.
mutually exclusive. You can have both of them.
Totally. And by the way, it's great for our kids to know we're doing well.
right,
Yes.
I want my son to see me happy. I want him to go off to college and go, one thing I know, my mom is fine. She's got her friends, she's got her dog, she's got her writing, she's got a really great full life. I don't want him to worry about me.
right. Yeah,
Right.
Love
And
that.
there's some study recently that said the best indicator of a child's future happiness is having a happy mom.
wow, wow.
Right.
That is
So have
great.
a full life
Yeah,
for your kids. You don't have to say, I'm waiting on my kids to come home. Well, obviously, I will miss him.
mhm,
Absolutely. But also, I'll be having a lovely time and he'll come home to a happy mom like he does now.
right. Yeah, that I mean, that is amazing, and my children have noticed that. They both seem like, "Gosh, mom, that's pretty impressive you all have done this. That's pretty
Oh, I love
amazing that you all have
that.
done
Yeah.
this." And that makes you feel good from your kids, and
Right. When they
same for
see you
you.
try well, when they see you try something and you're happy, but not even if it works or it doesn't work, but you're just happy in the process. Like you're just
Right.
happy doing it.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
also, it's good to show them the bumps. Like I used to love it when I did some sitcoms when Jack was little, and I would come home and I loved to share with him when something ridiculous would happen because I wanted to say, look, look how this silly thing happened. It was so embarrassing, and I'm fine.
Right.
Right? Or
Yeah.
this didn't work out, and I'm fine. It's good to have them see you try something. Yeah, what happened? I tried it, didn't work. I'll try something else.
Right. Because then they don't feel like if something happens, it's not the end of the world. If something doesn't work out for them, if
Exactly.
they see that, they don't feel like it's the
They
end of
know
the world. And
they'll
I do
survive.
think that that's something that is nice about this time in the world that there's times when people they don't have to be perfect like you've said how hard you were and I was on myself and my appearance. I'm so happy to see advertisements with people of all sizes now. I'm so happy to see women out there feeling comfortable with how they look and, out there just modeling stuff no matter what size. I love it. I'm thrilled. Like when I go to the beach and I see anybody in any size in a bikini. Yay,
Yeah,
good for
love
you.
it because
Yeah.
perfect is a lie.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Nobody's
Right.
perfect. And if you're chasing that, if you say, I'm going to love myself when I'm perfect, you never get to love
Yeah.
yourself
And
because
oh,
there
sad.
is no perfect. It is, what is it? Perfectionism is the thief of joy,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
Just say right now, I'm going to love myself. I'm going to enjoy this day. It's going to be messy. Good things are going to happen. But, bad things happening doesn't mean I'm bad. Good things happening doesn't mean I'm good. Life is up and down, and that's okay. I'm just going to do the best I can. I remember when my son was little, they were talking about good enough mom. And I was like, no, 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 I have to be the perfect mom. And then I was like, what am I doing? Like,
Right.
and that means he has to be the perfect kid to show I'm the perfect mom.
Right.
That's
Oh,
exhausting. Like, how
it
about we're all
is.
just doing the best we can, loving each other and bumbling our way through another day?
And so
Right.
help each other out instead of judgment.
Oh, yeah.
Help someone who needs not
There is
judgment.
there is nothing worse than feeling the mom judgment of
The
other
mom
people.
guilt.
And a lot of times I didn't feel it from other moms. I felt it from other people. I thought were,
Mother-in-laws? Are you saying mother-in-laws? Come on,
I mean,
Bridget. Tell the
perhaps,
truth.
or just people like you go in the grocery and your kid might have a fit and you just feel daggers, in your back. And that was the worst feeling I think ever, is mom judgment. Oh my goodness. It was
And
terrible.
then you want the mom, like, I used to love it when I was walking through the airport with my son and he'd be a little bit ahead of me and you see all the moms turn.
Oh
You're
yeah.
like, it's okay, I got him. Like, that's what you want. You want the mom when your kids, like the mom with your kids crying on the plane and the mom goes, let me take him, right? The mom
Right,
walks them up
Yes.
and down. That's what we want to do. We want to say when your kid's throwing a tantrum, I'm so sorry, can I help?
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Right?
can I
'Cause we've
do?
all
Right.
been there.
Right.
I'm
Right.
so sorry. We
Exactly.
don't have to come at each other with judgment. Like,
Yeah.
you know what that is.
We do. That yesterday was so funny because I was flying back from Boston with my husband and there was a family in front of us and they were adorable, two little girls, and they weren't at all. They were just being little girls and they were talking about this and that. When I'm getting on the plane, I'm gonna smile because I get a snack. And I did that. They talk and the dad looked at us and said, "This is my life." And I said, "Well, that was my life. So don't
And it's
worry
a
about it."
good
Like
life. And
he
it's a
almost was
good
apologizing. I'm like, "Don't apologize. That was our life. We get it." So
It's
Yeah.
true.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
true.
Oh,
It
the
Mhm,
sweetest.
we could talk to you
mhm.
forever and
No, we
Right.
have to, we gotta move
You c
on. We have lives to
Yeah,
live. We have
I
exciting
yeah,
know.
projects to start and work on.
But
yes.
I do have to ask one last question because in the
Yes.
very beginning you mentioned something about a reboot and we just let that slide right on by. Is there a reboot of Melrose Place coming?
That is Laura Layton and Daphne Zuniga's project.
Oh,
So
okay.
I have no say in it. I just mentioned it because they've been talking about it and it's got.
Okay.
Would you want
Well,
to do another sitcom or series again
I
or
love the sitcom life. I love because it's really humane hours. But I really feel surrendered. Like I'm very happy in my life. I kind of feel like I said, my spiritual practice right now is walking through the open door.
Mhm.
mhm,
So, if something appeared and it was good, I'd go, okay, but I'm not going to it's my life isn't missing anything. My life is full and wonderful. If a great job or a handsome prince happened to walk through my door, that would be lovely, but it doesn't mean my life isn't wonderful and complete as is. So I'm open. We'll see.
mhm. Right. Wow. That
That's
well, we
just
would we would watch, but yeah, you're like it's just like not your happiness is not dependent on it. So that,
No, I
you know,
really feel
mhm,
amazing. And then we'll see. Like life is full of surprises.
but you're
right.
open to it and that's half the battle. A lot of women are not open to experiencing new things at this age. They think, "Okay, I've got to just close off." And you're saying I'm open to whatever is out there that's available to me, and that's
Yes.
great. And I
Yeah, I
hope
mean, say yes. I think for women, because a lot of us who were raised to say yes when we didn't mean it. So I don't say yes. I kind of go, all right. I don't, it doesn't mean I don't go to a party I don't want to go to because I don't like big parties, but I just go, all right. If something's offered and it feels right and my gut says yes, I go, all right, let's try that. If it doesn't work, we'll try something else. That's all right.
Right.
so
Mhm.
true. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on.
Oh, good to
you.
talk to you ladies. That was so much
This was
fun. I thought
fun.
it would be, and I was right.
Oh, well,
You were open to it. Yay. Yeah.
we love talking to you, and please come back when the book
Oh, I'd
comes
love to
out.
I
hear more
would
about your
love
book.
to. I'm going to
Yes.
hold you to that.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
consider 'cause absolutely. We can't wait to read it and promote it and talk to you about it.
Oh,
So,
thank you. You're so sweet.
thank
So good to
you.
meet you both. That was really so much fun.
Oh,